welcome to another episode of Indigenous Survival. I'm your host, Jeff Soaring Hawk Gibson. Let's say you're out in the bush and you need to catch a fish to survive and you have no fish hooks, or you're fishing your little fishing equipment that you have with you, you lost hooks. Well, you can make one. I'm going to show you how. First, I'm going to take out my little multi-tool here, get the saw out, and in case you're wondering what this one is, this one's made by Caterpillar, and I like it because it has two different saws. There's a small one there and a larger one here. That's what I'm going to use. Okay, this is my pear tree, but I'm going to sacrifice it because something tore up some of the leaves right here, so I want to kind of clean that off anyway. What you're going to look for is a branch with a bunch of little branches coming off of it. Okay, and you're going to look and find a good one, and I know where I want to cut this. I already looked at it earlier. I cheated. Cut it about here. And this little multi-tool does great. This little saw does pretty damn good for this. I've used it to make traps with, and okay. Now, I trimmed that off. I'm not going to hurt my tree any. Obviously, that's too big. So what I want to do is, and also I like doing this, even if I got plenty of hooks. It's good for all kinds of applications. Not only fish, but I can set this up on part of my snare as part of the bait stick, to where as soon as the animal, because it has to get off of there, not you, helpful cat, bird, squirrel, whatever, however you bait it, has to pull to get it loose. Guess what? And if you're doing that with it, you can actually make more tines or hooks, if you want to call it that, for it to go to. But let's just make a hook. And since I'm making it as a hook, let's make it a little bit longer. So let's cut off this part of it. I don't need that. We're going to cut off everything that's not needed. Here, it's fruit tree, so you got, I guess, some sort of scent to it too. Now let's cut off here. This out of the way. Yeah, I like this one here better. So let's just cut this off. Basically, you'll cut off everything that does not look like a hook. Okay, now I'm going to show you something real quick. See, I'm just going to use this one, but you could double hook it and make it for either, you got double, like a double fish hook. And I could do that real easy too. Let's just cut off everything. My wife's watching me because she just bought me these pants, and just make sure I don't cut them. There. Now I'm going to switch over. I could use the knife that's in this, and it's perfectly good. But I think I'll go with my trusty little Camillus. Now let's move all the bark off.
There. No.
Okay. Now that I've removed all the bark, I'm going to shorten this down just a little bit. Well, my saw blade here, cut off a little excess I don't need. Now, I could have done this when I first did it, but thought I'd leave it to see how much I really needed of it. Now I can leave it like this after I shape these, and I can have two hooks, or I can make it as one single. You know what? Let's go ahead and make it one single hook. So let me go ahead and remove this little section right here. We're not going to need this barb. And here's the thing with working with freshly cut wood, it is a little slick. That's why it appears I'm having a little bit of a difficult time with this, because the wood's wet, and wet wood is a little slick. Since you guys just saw me cut it off the tree. Here, well, let me go ahead and finish this up with my knife. Okay, there's mostly our hook right here. All we're going to do is sharpen this up, bring this to a nice point. Which is why I like leaving it a little bit longer until I get done. Because you don't know exactly how much you're going to remove to get that nice sharp edge. Okay, nice sharp point. I like to try to sharpen it up a little bit more. Make sure you buy a multi-tool. Besides having a saw on them, and obviously a knife, and yeah, you got pliers, and I'm not sure why it has some items, but make sure it has a good file. Just trying to that way you can just sort of refine that just a little bit more. You know, to be honest with you, if you don't think the file is doing any more and you want it, and just lightly carefully you get yourself a nice sharp tip. Now, to make sure this don't come off, what you want to do is put the file up, get back out your saw. Let's go with the smaller one. Come up here to the top. Now you're not going to cut all the way through. You're just going to cut a little notch in this. Sorry guys, I got to take those off. Just going to cut a little notch in this. All the way around. What I like to do is start by sawing around a little bit. Just to get my little mark, my little measurement here. And I'll switch to my knife and just work underneath there. And I'll show you in a second what it would look like when you're done. Now be careful when you do this, because remember you got that sharp point there. You don't drive that point into your hand. Okay, now come up a little closer. See how I got the point there? If you see, I made a little notch all the way around the top. That's to put your string onto. Now, granted, this is not, you're not going to catch a little bluegill on this. You know, you may not, but it will catch. Excuse me. Now I could also use this in part of a snare trap, but I like using stuff like this, even if I have fish hooks. I like making my own, because to be honest with you, since it's made out of natural material, a piece of wood, this isn't going to shy a fish off if it's floating in the water. Okay, it's not. Put your bait on there, you throw that in there, more than likely this is going to float. I've had a few that sank, I've had a few that floated. But as it's sitting there, floating, the bait's down here, that looks natural in the water. That looks no more different than any other twig, branch in the water. Okay, so you see you got the little notch cut in. Like I said, I could use this as this is a standard fish hook. I can also use it as part of a snare trap. As a fish hook, I'd use it with an L7. And I'd also use it with an L7 spring pole. So let me go ahead and I'll show you. Grab this little spool of twine. And like I said in other videos of mine, I like natural products. Okay? The more it's natural, the more likely it is that it's going to get hit with bait. You know, hit with an animal that you're trying to trap or snare. Metal traps are okay. Wire snares are okay if you want to buy them. But I know if I'm an animal and I see some chunk of metal, I'm probably not going to mess with it. But being natural made, it blends in. Now there it is. There's your homemade fish hook. May not look like much, and if you don't like it that long, you can surely make it shorter. You can make it a little narrower. You can put 2 on there like before I showed you. But there it is. Throw that in the water. It could, even if it floats like a bobber, that's going to be in there. Fish are going to see it, hit it, take off, and got it. So if you like that video, remember, like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.